Alright everyone, Geraldo Rivera has gone even more insane than usual, making a political prediction. He probably should stick in his lane and not make political predictions based on this one. Yes, the man behind a large chunk of the Satanic panic, in which he claimed that there was a worldwide devil-worshipping cult trying to steal kids away in order to parasitize the resulting fear and make millions of dollars. The man who hyped up the opening of Al Capone's vault because he's good at branding things and got a top slot on TV, I think still the top slot of all time in live television for the United States, way back in the day when Geraldo, he looked less like an elderly Teddy Roosevelt character, and then opened an empty vault and completely embarrassed himself on live TV, and it was very, very funny, but it helped to cement his career as a lolcow. And that's basically what he's devolved into. He no longer, other than Fox having him aboard for a cringe segment to spout off and say weird shit, do his fence-straddling thing, he doesn't really get that kind of attention anymore. So what he's realized is he's the original godfather. Let's give him credit for one invention in his life. He's the godfather of deliberately antagonistic algorithmic hijacking on the internet. He comes before the breadliners. He was doing this. It's called algorithmic hijacking. It's a literal concept. He gloms on to major issues, and he puts a warped opinion out there. It doesn't matter whether he's right or wrong. He gets attention for it, and so people pile aboard. This is the way that you gain clout if you're disingenuous. Geraldo's a master at it. Fuck, he should be teaching classes to the breadliners right now and to the MAGA communism simps out there. You could study Geraldo Rivera. Do what he does and you'll be more successful. It's hilarious because he's a fucking war maniac neocon. Anyway, I'm going to read one of his tweets verbatim. I don't think it'll age well, but aging well is not the point with Geraldo Rivera tweets. Governor DeSantis will soon feel the wrath of Florida's Latino voters outraged by his toying with the lives of those Venezuelan refugees he exploited. Yes, he exploited them by sending them to greener pastures, to an area where they very quickly got processed because the people of Martha's Vineyard didn't want them there. But they still felt that they were enriched by the fact that people that didn't look like them were around briefly. And they gave them, avocado toast. The avocado is probably picked by illegal labor, by the way. Very, very funny. Still $5 a slice, but they were feeling generous that day, so they gave them out for free. I had a windfall because I sold my Bitcoin at peak, and so don't worry, I'll cover the avocado cost. The NIMBYists suffered and were exposed for their hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of the liberal border crisis in general and the response thereof has been exposed. Biden and formerly Obama had been busing and flying migrants around the country anyway, to a limitless degree. Geraldo fixates on 50 fucking people from Venezuela that happen to be shipped by DeSantis. All of a sudden, he clutches his pearls. It's a great big problem. Here's what Geraldo doesn't understand, and it's mystifying because he is himself Hispanic. Hispanic is a bullshit term. It is meaningless. There is no similarity in the voting structure, etc., between, for instance, Cuban immigrants and Mexican immigrants, between Costa Ricans and Venezuelans. The source of the migrant, or the illegal, or the asylum seeker, the refugee, differential terms, has an impact on their view of the world. Believe it or not, somebody who comes from the Yucatan doesn't necessarily automatically identify with a bunch of Venezuelans that were in Florida. But Geraldo is probably aware of this and just feigning ignorance because he wants to make his shitpost tweet because he's nuts. He's old now. He's getting towards elderly status. He wants attention. He's always been a clout seeker for literally his entire career. That's all he's ever done. Over the course of a half century, that's the only thing that he ever did. Seek clout, seek attention, seek fame. He's a shitfuck. He's a scumbag, in the words of, I believe, Kurt Vonnegut, actually, at one point. I imagine that in his personal life, he's not a very pleasant character either. And it's funny because this yacht dweller who is frequently posting about all of the lavish, party lifestyle shit that he does, who is, again, known for getting his nose bashed in by a neo-Nazi on his shit program, his pre-Springer program there with a folding chair. Geraldo Rivera lacks self-awareness, but he doesn't lack branding awareness. It's like, to encapsulate Geraldo Rivera, think of him as only being a brand, only being a meme. There is no Geraldo Rivera the person. The person is a scumbag, clueless, just completely out to lunch. The business Geraldo is very, very talented, but also still a scumbag, of course, and a clout seeker. Doing the algorithmic hijacking thing long before any of the Zoomer kids that are doing it now thought of the concept. He was doing it back in the fucking 1980s. He didn't need the internet to be around to accomplish that. I just find it very funny, and I did archive this post. I have the archive. I saved the link. Trust me. Because much like with Parnas and Kosciarella and some of the other Zoomer craptivists, the leftoids, and people like Pelosi, on midterm night, most of their predictions will be completely discredited. The GOP will take the House, DeSantis will be reelected, Kemp will be reelected, Abbott will be reelected, Carrie Lake will probably be elected. I see a tidal wave of people making predictions about the election, and none of them apparently have any understanding of statistics, number one, of polling analysis, number two, of the structure of election law, number three. Number four, hindsight will always be 20/20, and they'll kick themselves in the ass self-deprecatingly after they're wrong. But right now, they've shelved that in order to just make hyperbolic predictions, because that's what gets them attention. It's going to be very, very funny fact-checking all of their warped predictions after the midterms happen. Geraldo will be wrong at the end of the day. Ron DeSantis will be reelected. He is effectively now beyond any possible margin of error within polling. In fact, appears to have grown in popularity, specifically because of the Martha's Vineyard NIMBYism kerfuffle. Even if the Hurricane Ian response were shit, it would have to be Katrina levels of shit in order to cause the kind of polling swing necessary in the 11th hour of the midterm elections for him not to be reelected. It'd be the hurricane. It wouldn't have anything to do with Martha's Vineyard. Geraldo, did you bother to check the goddamn polls? There are several of them post Martha's Vineyard kerfuffle, and he's up. He grew in support. Voters aren't punishing him. Voters are rewarding him for showing the NIMBYism and hypocrisy of people like you. People like you who live in gated communities and penthouses and have yachts. He exposed your hypocrisy. Maybe Geraldo, maybe it's not even a flying fuck at a rolling donut. Maybe Geraldo is just mad because all of his friends in Martha's Vineyard got exposed as the racist NIMBYists that they really are. All of his donor class buddies that he hopes to glom onto and continue parasitizing for the mediocre vestige that used to be a career. That's about all. Peace out.